Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. And yep, I'm reading the comments, and I'm thinking of where to go with the intro, because I know the crackling and the scratching noise was a problem for some people, and I kept seeing that. So I'm gonna try to find something in between. In the meantime, we'll just go with the old one. But yeah, I'll just I'll experiment with some different intros and see what I kind of like. But back to yesterday's video specifically, we were talking about hacking and the revelation that hacking flight controls could, emphasis on could, become a thing. Now, a lot of people will probably look at that and they will say, oh, well, that's great. That's fantastic, because that's just more depth to the game. That's more layers to the onion. I like it. You know, that's more stuff to experiment with. And certainly myself, being a player who definitely looks for you know, different ways to achieve the objective other than just the obvious brute force way. That's definitely something I like, definitely something I'm into, but there are going to be people out there who look at it and kind of go like, oh god, you know, they're just giving them griefer tools. But the truth is I mean, that's a sword that cuts both ways, you know. Like, a pirate could say hack into a ship and, you know, cause it to fly or crash into another ship, but, you know, a non-pirate could still fly a herald. Like, this isn't like a Horde Alliance thing where it's like, well, we've got shamans and you've got paladins and ha ha ha, shamans are better. No, this is a situation where, you know, anyone can go out and buy a herald, and a herald, let me remind you, is a dirt cheap ship. And there's a reason why I have always been so, you know, pro Herald. And it looks like we're getting, you know, the manifestation of some of those reasons, hopefully sometime soon. Though, once again, it does not appear, at least from what I've seen, to in any way be on the roadmap for this year. But hopefully soon-ish, we will get our hands on hacking, and we'll be able to see what CIG has planned. But, you know, this, yeah, once again, this is something that's available to everyone. So just as easily as a pirate could use this tool, a non-pirate could use it as well. And I mean, if you think about, perhaps you can hack into Vanduul ships if you're out there as a merc fighting the Vanduul. And there are all kinds of ways that you can, you know, use that to your advantage in a tactical situation. It's not really something to be afraid of. I think it's something to be celebrated when a game developer kind of goes and looks at something more than just, say, making a straightforward, you know, ship-on-ship combat game, but when they try to add all kinds of different ways that you can attack another ship, rather than just, well, I've got level 4 laser blasters, I'm good to go. Now you kind of have to think about some other things. And I think in the end, what you're probably going to see, if I were to guess, if I were to project my expectations onto the game and say this is probably where it's going to end up, it's probably going to be fairly difficult to hack another player. You're probably going to see a lot of modules that are centered around extending the amount of time that it takes to hack another player's ship. And to get in there and to do it successfully, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sorry if I can't, you know, stop tripping over my words. Yeah, to do it successfully, you're probably going to need a combination of the perfect victim and the perfect opportunity. You know, someone who isn't thinking about these things, or someone who's just, you know, thrown those items aside and said, I don't need that, never happens to me. That's probably who it's going to happen to. The average player who is pretty smart about these things and puts in, you know, whatever they call it, like, you know, the Firewall 1.0 or the Firewall 3.0 system in their ship systems in one of the little server slots, is probably going to do a lot better on average, and they're probably going to be fairly difficult to hack. And there's probably going to be a lot going on the battlefield that a hacker can take advantage of. You know, a lot of low-hanging fruit, you know, NPC vessels or smaller ships like fighters or something like that, whereas constantly trying to get the big ship may not be the most efficient way towards victory. So, I mean, I think it's probably going to be more something that works successfully against NPCs rather than against other players. Now, one of the things that's kind of obvious about the Herald is that the Herald is not the most stealthy ship. So it's got pretty big engines on it, and it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. There's also the Vanguard Sentinel, which is a stealth ship, but it is also pretty damn big and, you know, hard to miss. So being a pilot who's flying one of those ships who's hacking is probably, you know, they're probably going to end up being a priority target. And, you know, certainly the Vanguard and, you know, the Herald are not the most successful dogfighters. So that, I think that's going to, it's not going to be quite the problem a lot of people make it out to be, or a lot of people are afraid it's going to be. I think that a lot of the work that hackers end up doing is going to be like sort of stealing NPC shipping manifests so that they can sell those on, stealing information, reversing people's crime stat rating, things like that. You know, going into a communications satellite and, you know, pulling through ship records and then going, oh, there's going to be a ship coming through the system at this time and it's going to have a full load of medical supplies or gold or something like that. And then maybe reporting that back to their pirate group or selling that information on to an interested third party. That sort of thing. I think that that's where hackers are going to see a lot of their bread and butter made, and to put them into the front lines and risk, you know, getting in close maybe to hack a capital ship or a very large freighter may not be in their best interests. Chances are things like otherwise messing up weapons or screwing up someone's sensors are probably going to be the more prolific, you know, types of electronic warfare / hacking that you're going to see in the universe. And something like hacking a ship's controls probably going to be mostly happening to NPCs. I realize that there would be a justification. Well, if you can hack into someone's you know, sensors or hack into their weapon systems, then you should be able to hack directly into their flight controls. But you're probably going to see CIG kind of err on the side of fun on this one and say, you know what, we're going to kind of pull back at least where it affects other players, because it's one of those things that it can really turn around and dominate the game. It's sort of like if you put a character in a game or you put a class in a game that is just over the top, it quickly becomes overrepresented and you have to kind of, you know, nerf it down, knock it down to the ground, and, you know, give some room for the other, you know, classes, characters, whatever in your game to kind of flourish. And so if hacking was this all-powerful one-touch, you know, left-click, Sombra, I've hacked you, blah, blah, blah type thing, it would quickly become, you know, kind of like the cancer of the game. And so it's something that has to be kept in check. So you're probably going to see some pretty tight controls on hacking in the beginning. They might let some stuff slip by, but that'll probably still be during the early access and prior to the game becoming, you know, production where everything counts. So I don't think that there will be too much to worry about. I think there's more to be excited about when we talk about hacking, because that added layer to the game, I think, is going to be really super interesting. It's something that I'm very interested in. The stealth, the hacking is stuff that I really want to get into once we get it available and once we get it kind of fully fleshed out. Stealth is there to a degree, but I think I don't know. Stealth, I think, needs a little bit more feedback and a little more interaction with the players, rather than just, you know, hitting a button on your console and saying, oh, well, I'm putting out less of a signature now. I think that there needs to be an interactability with that system, but that's another video. But yeah, I think that, you know, the hacking that we're going to get is going to be probably really reasonable and fun. It's going to be probably a very interesting little mini game. Not something like Deus Ex, but probably not too far from that. Not an exact copy, but probably something fairly similar. So I think they had a very interesting hacking system in that game, but you know, once again, when you're going after players and going after capital ships, it's probably going to take you a long time to achieve that hack, and probably a lot of hackers are probably going to be sitting out by comm arrays and whatnot, quietly hacking into records and, you know, lowering people's crime stats or getting shipping manifests for NPC freighters, that sort of thing. So I think, yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing when it gets to the game. And the fact that ship flight controls, that's a cool thing. It's definitely something I would like to try when it gets here. But as for it just, you know, becoming this plague where players are just like, oh, I've lost control of my ship again, and wow, I've lost control of my ship again. I don't think we're gonna end up going down that route. I think to actually get to that point, that it's gonna require a lot of skill, a lot of setup, and a lot of specialization to actually pull that off. So when you do pull it off, it's going to be something pretty amazing, but not something that's just omnipresent and, you know, affecting everyone all the time. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.